I would have liked for the Congress to say, yes, it was a mistake. It will never happen again. If the Congress was to do this, it would take the wind out of the sails of the BJP. It would be able to say, okay, but what about you? We made a mistake. We are moving on. What about you on A, B, C, D? And certainly the issues that Mr. Kharge has highlighted. The Congress is fighting a defensive battle. It's on the defensive. It is not, coming out and setting the agenda, except in some places, where it's taken on the question of OBCs, for instance, and the government was compelled to accept that caste census. I think the Congress will be able to seize the initiative, set the narrative, if it is clear about certain things. You see, Congress's own credibility comes into question. Now, after all, Rahul Gandhi today wants to fashion a very different Congress. He wants to promote younger people. He wants the culture to be very different. He says that he wants the culture to be much more democratic, and so on. So you are making a break from the past. So the country would like to know. They're caught they're cornered all the time because they're not able to break away from the past. For you and me as citizens of India, it's a very good thing that the ruling party and the main opposition are vying with each other in their resolve to uphold the Constitution of India.
Absolutely.
And then you're right. One of the things that while the Congress has said it was a mistake, though not gone, it's a mistake, but with caveats there. The BJP learned one thing very clearly, that they are not going to they will not do all these things formally.
Absolutely, yeah.
That is something they have learned.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Calling it one of the darkest chapters in India's democratic history, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said today on the anniversary of the emergency, which of course BJP observes as Samvidhan Hatya Divas. He said that the imposition of the emergency by the Congress not only violated the spirit of the Constitution, but placed democracy under arrest. In a series of posts on X on the 50th anniversary of the emergency, which the centre has decided to observe as Samvidhan Hatya Divas, PM Modi said that no Indian would ever forget how the voice of parliament was muzzled and attempts were made to control the courts during the period. But what we found very different this year, was a press conference held by the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. Not in the recent history ever we've seen a Congress President addressing on a day like this. And after Prime Minister's tweets, Mallikarjun Kharge, in a press conference, accused BJP of marking the day to hide its own failures and repeated lies. In fact, he claimed that the BJP was rattled by Congress's Samvidhan Bachao Yatra and started talking about the 50th anniversary of the emergency. He also, in fact, said that we are facing an undeclared emergency in the country today. BJP got rattled by a Samvidhan Bachao Yatra and started talking about these 50 years of emergency. In fact, he said that those who could not do much during their tenure also could not give any answers on issues of unemployment, inflation, and demonetization. They are doing this to hide their failures and repeated lies. So there are a few questions today. That what does this day mean for BJP? How far can they go ahead with this Samvidhan Hatya Divas? And with a Congress president addressing a press conference on a day like this, is it a strategic political shift which the Congress has taken? Deliberately, it has decided to answer the government on issue like these. Joining me this evening is veteran author, columnist, and political commentator Neerja Chaudhary. Thank you so much, Neerja, for joining. And the very fact that Mallikarjun Kharge today chose to address the press conference, Never before have we seen, at least not in the recent memory, I can imagine that, and I don't think that it has been ever addressed in a press conference. Of course, Indira Gandhi did take questions on emergency, but in the past many decades, we've not seen a Congress president addressing the press on 25th June. So, do you see this as some kind of a marked political shift of the Congress?
Yes, it is unusual. It is unprecedented, and and it's a good thing that the Congress president should face the press on a day like this. And he's of course talked about failure of the BJP. That's why they're zeroing in on the emergency 50 years later and so on. You know what I would have liked? For the Congress to say, yes, it was a mistake. It will never happen again. Now, Indira Gandhi in 1978 has referred to that certain mistakes were made, excesses were committed, but she said I did it in the interest of the nation, to save the nation. Rahul Gandhi 4 years ago also called it a mistake, but again, not going far enough to say, yes, this should never have happened. It's a dark period. Leaders make mistakes. After all, prime ministers are there. They take big decisions. Some of them turn out to be mistakes, and this was a mistake. But that we promise this will never happen again. And move on from there. If the Congress was to do this, it would take the wind out of the sails of the BJP. It would be able to say, okay, but what about you? We made a mistake. We are moving on. What about you on A, B, C, D? And certainly the issues that Mr. Kharge has highlighted, the economic issues that are hurting the people, unemployment, rising prices, and so on. We don't know how the West Asia situation is now going to pan out. Mercifully, there seems to be, they're moving towards a ceasefire. There's a ceasefire that I hope it will hold. But I recall, in 1972, of course, remember 1971, Indira Gandhi was the Durga. She had created the new nation of Bangladesh. Invincible. In 1972, there was a big drought. In 1973, there was a Yom Kippur War, Arab-Israeli war in West Asia, which had a spin-off effect in our country also because of the oil prices, and the prices of every item went up. I remember living through that. I remember my mother putting certain things out of the breakfast table and dinner table. Every family was, hurt like that. Now, that fed into the Navnirman movement in Gujarat, led by youth, and the Bihar movement led by Jayaprakash Narayan against rising prices, against corruption, for electoral reforms and so on, which he called a movement for total revolution. And Indira Gandhi's woes started with all this. From very quickly, in 3-4 years, she was in a beleaguered position. And finally came this judgment in June of 1975, which unseated her from Parliament. And then she went in for the emergency to, I feel, to keep her chair, to keep her position intact. Now, things change very rapidly, in politics. Therefore, for the Congress, Rahul Gandhi, I would say, is undoing much of what his father, the positions his father held on empowerment of the OBCs through reservation method. Rajiv Gandhi, after Mandal decision to give reservations to OBCs, had spoken, I remember, for I think almost 2.5 hours in Parliament opposing it, that this was not the way to go. Today, Rahul Gandhi says caste census, empowering the OBCs, even going up to 90%. These are the people, and they must get their due in all the services, bureaucracy, Parliament, of course, academia, everywhere. They haven't got their due. So yes, it is not necessary that you have to stick to the position that your forefathers held. India is changing very rapidly. So I think the Congress, if it was to do a much more wholehearted acceptance that the emergency was a dark period, and it was wrong, it was a blunder, it should not have been done, and such a thing will never be repeated again in the country. I think it would be a very good thing coming from the Congress.
But do you see that despite the fact that Mallikarjun Kharge spoke to the press on a day like this, was it an opportunity lost for Congress? Could Congress did have an opportunity to put across the points better, in a more hard-hitting manner? Though there was nothing new to say, Congress has always been saying that, the media is captured, judiciary is it almost looks like under the thumb, and all the institutions are not doing very well. Civil rights, of course, have been violated, and there are not one but many instances. So, was it an opportunity lost today for Congress? Congress could have conveyed things better today through a press conference held by the Congress president.
It is the Congress is fighting a defensive battle. It's on the defensive. It is not, coming out and setting the agenda, except in some places, where it's taken on the question of OBCs, for instance, and the government was compelled to accept that caste census. We don't know who will get the benefit of that. Politically, that remains to be seen, but that apart. I think the Congress will be able to seize the initiative, set the narrative, if it is clear about certain things. You see, Congress's own credibility comes into question. You are saying constitution, you are saying freedoms, you're talking about media freedom, etc., etc. Judiciary's autonomy. But very quickly they go back to, people will point out, but what did you do when you were in power? Unless you disown yourself from there and said, no, yes, what we did was wrong.
But the point is, Neerja, that is it so difficult for Congress to disown itself or shed the baggage of emergency? Because many Congress people say that, we are really in a difficult situation because it will make the party look very apologetic. This is what the general refrain, in the Congress circles is, that why should we look apologetic? I mean, many people talk about like that, but the very fact that they decided to address this issue on the emergency today, and that to a Congress president addressing the press conference, many people I spoke to in the morning within Congress said that, and I also actually checked up on the Google, on Grok. We've not seen any Congress president taking this emergency question head on. So was this an opportunity which could have been capitalized better by the Congress today to hammer down the points?
Yes, as I said, it would have been utilized better had they said, yes, it was wrong. And move on. Okay, you will say, you will sound, the opponents will hammer you. But the country will look at you very differently. Now, after all, Rahul Gandhi today wants to fashion a very different Congress. He wants to promote younger people. He wants the culture to be very different. He says that he wants the culture to be much more democratic, and so on. So you are making a break from the past. So the country would like to know, they're caught they're cornered all the time, because they're not able to break away from the past. Of course, you cannot break away. The party is a continuum. You can't be breaking away on all things. But there are major things which you felt were wrong, like emergency was one, like the Sikh, anti-Sikh riots was another.
No, but for that also, there was an apology which came from Manmohan Singh.
Right.
And,
so that's why that you go back to that apology. That apology did come, that it was wrong, what happened. Right. And that's why the Sikhs also, because the apology came, even though the Sikh psyche was hurt deeply, the Sikhs have moved on also. Absolutely. Today, the Sikhs have moved on. So it is not that, as I say, prime ministers have to make very difficult decisions. And it's not, it's a complete baggage. It's not a black and white thing. It's what they inherit, how they handle it. It's going to affect generations to come. And yet they have to take that call. It's a very lonely place out there. They take that call. And some of those things will turn out to be mistakes. But if you're ready to say, yes, it was a mistake with the hindsight of history, I mean, it's 50 years down the line.
Absolutely.
And does anyone in the Congress or Rahul Gandhi family, do any one of them say that we want what the emergency provisions brought with it? Suspension of human rights, of fundamental freedoms? Weakening of parliament, muzzling of the press, all that. Can you make a case for it today? No, so say so.
But Neerja, is this going to remain a perpetual dilemma for Congress? given the fact that it happened during Indira Gandhi's regime, and now no one from the Gandhi family, whether it is Sonia Gandhi or whether it is Rahul or Priyanka, obviously they will not take on the government on this particular issue, despite so many transgressions in the last 11 years. And rather, the process has become so surreptitious during the Modi rule. So, how is Congress really going to extricate itself out of this dilemma?
This is what I'm saying. They have to just own it and move on. And then you're right. One of the things that while the Congress has said it was a mistake, though not gone, it's a mistake, but with caveats there. The BJP learned one thing very clearly, that they are not going to they will not do all these things formally.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That is something they have learned.
Right.
So
coming to the BJP, how far can BJP really take this Samvidhan Hatya Divas? Now, the very fact that today also when Kharge was addressing the press conference, he had that red booklet of the constitution and he said कि ठीक है आप लोग इसकी बात करते हैं लेकिन इसको follow तो करिए जो अंदर इसमें लिखा है. How far can BJP take this Samvidhan Hatya Divas? Obviously, there'll be a lot of parallel movements which will expose BJP in nooks and corners at block levels, at village levels. How far can BJP take this Samvidhan Hatya Divas, and how much of a resonance it will have? Maybe in the first 2 or 3 years it can have, but I mean, how far can BJP take this?
For you and me as citizens of India, it's a very good thing that the ruling party and the main opposition are vying with each other in their resolve to uphold the Constitution of India.
Absolutely.
It gives you, whether they do it or not, whether they're true to it or not, whether they stick to their promise or not, whether they do it surreptitiously, at least they're owning to that promise. And we can hold them up to that. Now, what is very interesting in the last year, and I think the Congress is not able to play that card fully. What has happened since the 1980s and 90s, that Constitution has got identified increasingly with B.R. Ambedkar. And today, if you notice, Ambedkar is the upholder of the Constitution, the creator of the Constitution. In some way, it has become Constitution. Ambedkar is equal to the Constitution, is equal to Dalit, is equal to reservation, if you decode it politically. And it was this perception in 2024 that got the Dalits unhappy and worried that the Constitution may be changed and their reservations may be taken away. So this popular perception of Constitution being equal to Ambedkar, equal to Dalit and their rights is something that the Congress has flagged but not been able to fully utilize politically. And remember, the Dalit constituency is a constituency today up for grabs. Every party is vying with it. With the other to get that to its side. So is the BJP, the Janata Dal U, Mahadalit constituency in Bihar. Paswan going with Chirag Paswan going with the NDA. There are many Jignesh Mawani being promoted by Rahul Gandhi in Gujarat. There is Mr. Kharge. So there are, how do you, this thing of upholding the Constitution has to be translated into political program narrative that has an appeal to the Dalits. Congress is not able to do this effectively.
But what kind of a resonance does it have with the people? When BJP observes 25th June as the Samvidhan Hatya Divas, then this time you have a Congress president who's addressing the press people and talking about the transgressions in the last 11 years of Modi rule. And I think you are absolutely right that we as citizens need to cherish this moment that Constitution is being upheld and the spirit of the Constitution is being upheld by both the parties. But in terms of political actionables? What kind of an impact does it have on the people, on the young minds who have not, and especially the generation which has not seen the emergency days? How is it going to resonate amongst them? Is it what they will believe what BJP is saying, or is it what the Congress is going to say and they will believe into what Congress is saying? How will they take it up?
See, I think if 65% of India is under the age of 35, I think it would be safe to assume that 4 out of 5 Indians were either not born or just, very, very small when the emergency was declared and have no memory of it. They hear the word emergency, they hear the words of Indira Gandhi and so on. And some, of course, have read about it and so on. I think younger people, I find, are very interested to know about history. So if you observe a Girl Child Day, you focus on that issue. If you observe a Samvidhan Hatya Divas, as they've chosen to call it, then you go over what happened 50 years ago. It's educating the new generation, people who know nothing about it. And the idea would be not just, of course, the BJP plays it politically. They would like to put the Congress in a corner, hammer the Congress for what happened in the past. Maybe also that they may want that Indira Gandhi, known as a strong leader, gets equated with a tyrant. So it's not just a normal democratic strong leader, but it's equal to a tyrant and a dictator. Maybe that's also what they would like, in their plan to take on the Congress. But as far as the citizen is concerned, yes, we need to know what happened in those 22 months in the mid-70s.
Which means that Congress can narrate a lot of stories, but Congress is not able to do that. If the last 11 years they cannot pull out and then try exactly do the same what is being done of Indira Gandhi. So is it not a shortcoming which the Congress is really facing and it needs to work on that?
No, that goes without saying. Even, if you look at Mrs. Gandhi's personality, she's a fascinating prime minister to look at. Not only because she's the only woman prime minister, but, as I've written, in 1971, she was a Durga. Immense courage, political timing. She did not wilt when the 7th Fleet of the United States came to Bay of Bengal in what was a show of strength. She did not wilt. She won the war with Pakistan. She recognized the new nation of Bangladesh. Okay, so that was the Durga, a term used for her by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. In 1975, she becomes a dictator. And in 1977, even as she is a dictator, there is no need for her, no compelling reason why she should go in for elections. There are no sanctions against India. She's on top of the situation. And yet she decides to announce elections. And those elections, remember, are free and fair. Otherwise, she would not have been wiped out in North India, including in her own seat. So it's very interesting. There are many people feel, was she more Nehru's daughter? She felt at some point elections would have to be held, and at that particular moment, the balance of advantage went in her favor. Therefore, she thought that was the moment to go for it. It's possible that she wanted to legitimize Sanjay Gandhi as a successor and do it through elections so that he's accepted nationally and internationally. There may have been a whole lot of reasons why she did it, but the fact is she ordered elections. She lost. She accepted her defeat. It was a fair and free election. But she bounced back to power in 33 months, which few world leaders had done. So Indira Gandhi, and then, I would say she was a Durga, she was a dictator, she was a Democrat insofar as ordering elections, and she was a dynast. In her time, the dynasty started, was given an impetus. But she's a fascinating mix of a lot of things. And Congress party has to, every prime minister is a fascinating mix. That's why I feel, I don't like to demonize people when you talk about them or assess them and their contributions or otherwise.
No, but every year this Samvidhan Hatya Divas becomes an event and becomes an event, a big event for BJP. And this, of course, puts Congress on the back foot. Are we going to see this as an annual feature every year where Congress will come across as a damn squib, where they will not have anything solid to put across? Are we going to see this perpetually now happening every year, at least at the time the BJP is in power?
Well, I hope the Congress will take steps, and as I keep saying, will take ownership of the fact that emergency was a big blunder. And that, as I say, they will never do it again. They vow never to do it again. And point out to the democratic decisions that they have taken or furthered, how they've advanced democracy in the country. You know, there is the dark part. There are the dark parts of history, and there are the bright parts of history.
Absolutely. No,
So you're right. Congress will have to seize its, its moments and decide the way to go.
No, but the very fact that Congress decided to hold a press conference today, wasn't it a marked shift? Maybe, I mean, that's different altogether, that they were not able to capitalize or it wasn't effective enough. But the very fact that they took a decision of putting across the Congress president to talk about this. And so, I mean, for obvious reasons, media wouldn't cover it too much. But yes, the newspapers have written about it, that Congress president has this to say. But then as a strategy, is this not a path in the right direction for Congress? Now, maybe they will apologize also one day, as you said, that they will acknowledge the fact that it was a blunder. But the very fact that there is a beginning today, which is seen somewhere, with the Congress president taking on the party and speaking about it today.
I agree with you there. To face the press on 25th June, when they know they are going to get very nasty questions, yes, it is a good thing to have done. It's a courageous thing to have done.
But again, I'll come back to that question, and that's going to be my last question to you, Neerja, that this narrative around the emergency, how is it going to be used in elections now, coming as it does? Bihar elections are very close by, around the corner. And how will Congress and BJP use this? Because BJP is also accused of the same transgressions. Now, the only thing is that during Congress's rule or during Indira Gandhi's time, it was all official. And during Modi's regime, we don't see it officially happening, but all that is still happening and happening more surreptitiously. So isn't this era of last 11 years much more dangerous than what we saw during Indira Gandhi's regime?
I think it's not either or the situation. Of course, the present is always much more, out there for you than 50 years ago what happened. But I would say in Bihar, I doubt if it's going to be emergency of 50 years ago, that's going to be an issue. Bihar is likely to be fought on hyper-local issues. What the Congress does to get its act together in Bihar, to mobilize, to revamp its organization, to have, satisfactory seat-sharing formula with the RJD, those things are going to matter more. And the narrative, and as also, are they able to bring the extremely backward castes into their fold? Apart from the Muslim-Yadav combination behind the RJD and some upper caste behind the Congress, will they be able to bring the extremely backward castes, which is the community that everybody is eyeing for, which is a group everybody is eyeing for in Bihar. And that will tilt the scales, whether it's for this side or that side. So will the Congress be able to play a role in that with Rahul Gandhi's rhetoric on the caste census get effectively translated into slogans or a narrative that makes sense to these smaller communities? Much will depend on all that, rather than what happened 50 years ago.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Neerja, for joining on HW. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.